Hey everyone, welcome to an NFL video. This one we're going over my core plays for week 4 of the NFL season on Draftkings. Before we continue though, if you could leave a like, and if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. Really helps me out. I really appreciate it. If we could get over 2,000 subscribers this weekend, that would be insane. I appreciate all the support on this channel. And you can also follow me on Twitter at ChrisPennell16. And if you're interested in any of the spreadsheets I build for every single slate for the NFL season on Draftkings, links in the description below for my Patreon, rankings on there, projections, all the data you need. It's color-coded, wide receiver versus cornerback data, all that good stuff. Projected ownership I load up on there as well. It's just pretty much a one-stop shop for everything you need for the weekend. Anyway, let's get into the video. That's enough plugging of myself. So my number one quarterback heading into the week is, I wouldn't say like projection-wise, but just from salary-wise, baking in salary and just projection, it's going to be Jared Goff at 6,300 going up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I love him this week. He's back at home where he's performed much better over the course of the last season and this year as well, even though it's only one sample size this season. Still, it was his best game. And Tampa's defense, I will say, has looked competent this season, but they did just get shredded by Danny Dimes last week and gave up 33 points to the Giants. McVay should be able to scheme his guys open versus this pass defense, and Goff has ample weapons to work with in Kupp, Woods, and Cooks. Tampa's been stingy versus the run so far, and Gurley has been a disappointment to start the season, so I think this trends towards being an aerial attack for Goff and his talented trio of receivers. This is the second highest Vegas over-under on the slate at 50.5, and the Rams are tied with the Chargers in Vegas implied team totals. Well, they're not actually tied. It's like they're like 0.25 behind, but still it's close enough, about 30 points. So I do think Goff has a fantastic day here. I don't see Gurley doing too much. I mean, he might find himself into the end zone, but I think this is a day for Goff and his receivers, and his price tag at 6,300 is pretty fair. And there's always a chance he gets that rushing touchdowns because, when they're on the goal line, I mean, they're not afraid to use Goff just to, QB sneak it. And then the next guy is Daniel Jones, 5,300. He was incredible in his first NFL start versus Tampa, threw for 353 yards, 2 touchdowns through the air, and 2 on the ground, something we'll never see Eli do. He looks vastly better than Eli Manning, and with Saquon Barkley out there, going to have to rely on Danny Dimes' arm even more than ever. He draws a solid matchup this week versus the Redskins, who are giving up 25 DraftKings points per game and 3 passing touchdowns per game. They even made Mitch Trubisky look competent last night, which is no easy task, I will say that. Also kind of shocking, the Giants have one of the higher implied totals on the slate, about 26, 25.5, so it's pretty big for the Giants. And at 5,300, he does not need to do much to pay off his salary, so I do not mind taking some shots on Danny Dimes at 5,300. I think he can pay that salary off quite easy at home. His first NFL start at home, fans are going to be rocking. They're going to be excited after that promise he showed last week, so do like me some Daniel Jones. Next guy is going to be Phillip Rivers, and he's this week's lucky contestant of being able to face the Miami Dolphins. And so it's really just simple, guys. You play anybody and everybody versus Miami. They're allowing over 30 points per game to the quarterback position, nearly 300 yards, and over 3 touchdowns per game. These numbers are terrible, and I do not see them getting much better over the course of the season. They are in full tank mode. They are not trying to win games. Chargers are 16-point favorites with an implied total of 30.3, which leads the slate. There's a concern of a blowout in which Rivers wouldn't have to throw the ball too much to stay in this game. Or not stay in this game, just have to throw the ball at all because of the big lead. But the same was said for Dak last week, and he still pulled through with 3 touchdowns. So I really don't think Phillip Rivers has any problem. And if they end up getting a big lead, I think that's a lot of it's coming from Phillip Rivers connecting with either Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler, or Mike Williams. So I do like Phillip Rivers. I think he's a very safe play. Only problem is he doesn't offer us any rushing upside, but we'll live. And the last guy is, as always, it's Patrick Mahomes. Yep, I think I just messed up. 1 second. Okay. I just want to make sure you guys can see the players' names when I pop them up. Okay. So it's Patrick Mahomes, and I can never not have him as a core play, as the dude is absolutely unreal. You guys know that. It's like, it's just a cheat code, basically. It looks like he doesn't believe in regression. Everyone thought he would regress this year. I thought he would a tad bit, but I guess he doesn't care what I think. And he just continues to post big game after big game, even without Tyreek Hill. The way you want to attack the Lions is through the airs. They have a pretty solid run defense. This game is the highest over-under of 53.5, and they are 6-point favorites as the Chiefs. So the Chiefs shouldn't be in too much of a position where they have to lay off the gas too much, which is not like they really do in the first place anyway. So it's probably going to be another big day for Mahomes and company, especially with the banged up running back group, McCoy, Damian Williams, all banged up. And he has the best tight end in the league going up against a defense who struggles with tight ends. And Hardman, Robinson, and Watkins all have the abilities to post big games. So definitely like Patrick Mahomes. There's no reason that the Lions will be able to stop him. The only thing is he is super expensive, but you know what you're getting with him. You're getting your 30 points. 30 points week 1, 35 points week 2, 30 points versus a tough Baltimore defense. They're not going to be able to slow him down. It's just a matter of if you fade him, you're just hoping he doesn't throw 5 or 6 touchdowns. So I don't think you're going to be able to afford him in cash games because, we need that safety net of expensive running backs or expensive receivers with the high floors. But in GPPs, you can fire up your Mahomes, Hardman, Kelsey stacks, no issues. All right, so let's get to the running back position. And core play number 1 for me is going to be Austin Eckler at 8,000. So he was somewhat disappointing last week, but he still finished in the teens, which shows you his high floor with his involvement in the passing game as he has 20 targets through 3 weeks. He's averaging the most receiving yards and receptions per game at the running back position on this slate. He now finds himself in a smash spot versus the Dolphins, who are allowing an insane 37.3 points per game and 178 rushing yards per game to the running back position this season. Fire him up. I love Austin Eckler this week. Now, I know there was a little concern because, last week everyone played Zeke. I wasn't actually too high on Zeke. I thought he was a fantastic play. He's just so expensive. And people were worried about the people are going to look back and see that Tony Pollard was the guy who ended up having a big game. So maybe people play Justin Jackson. But you really just can't count on that. You want the starting running back. And Austin Eckler is honestly probably top 3 safest play of the week heading into the week. So definitely like Austin Eckler. Next guy is Christian McCaffrey at 8,800. I know he's expensive, but he's one of the safest plays in DFS on a weekly basis, no matter who he's facing. He's on the field virtually the entire game, which is a rare commodity in this day and age. Kyle Allen also looks good, so I'm not concerned about a lack of scoring opportunities, and plus CMC can create his own scoring opportunities, as evident last week with his 75-yard touchdown. Volume is king in DFS, and paired with CMC's talent, you have yourself the RB1 week in and week out, but that's no slight to Alvin Kamara. He's right up there with Christian McCaffrey. They're basically the same guy. Although I personally prefer Alvin Kamara, but that's just me. But he's obviously not on this slate. And I'm not just saying like for this week. I like Alvin Kamara as a running back better. But that's no slight to Christian McCaffrey. Next guy I like is Chris Carson at 5,700. Now I'll start off by saying there is risk here with his 3 fumbles in the first 3 weeks. But this matchup is just so juicy, just too juicy to pass up. Last week the Seahawks fell behind and had to sling the ball a lot. And pairing that up with Carson's fumble, and it was just a recipe for disaster last week. And also the Saints have a good run defense, so nothing added up for Carson last week. I think he rebounds very well this week going up against Arizona. They are 5-point favorites, and the Cardinals' run D doesn't scare me in the slightest. The Seahawks want to run the ball when given the opportunity, and they should have a decent handle on this game. And this should be the big get-right game for Carson for not only his fantasy owners, but his confidence as well. He's got to stop fumbling the ball, but I really don't think he's going to struggle versus the Arizona Cardinals. They're going to want to get his confidence back. They're going to pound him. I think they're just going to pound him into the ground, and I think he should have a big day. I think he gets into the end zone. Just hope to God he does not fumble because he could lose his starting job at any point in this game. That's why he's not like my favorite play of the week. If he had no fumbling issues, 5,700 versus Arizona, with the volume he should see, he'd probably be like probably my top play. But I understand there's a risk here, so that's why I have him as my third core guy. And then the next guy is going to be Marlon Mack at 6,100. And he's quietly leading the league in rushing attempts per game. I believe it's at about 20 or 21. Next guy is Christian McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook off the top of my head. But yeah, he's actually number 1 in rushing attempts this season, so we do like the volume there. I do like the price for Marlon Mack versus the Raiders run defense, who's allowing over 100 rushing yards per game and 24.9 points. He has a great offensive line paving the way for him and should see sufficient volume to boost his floor, and he does offer high upside as well, as evident to his 28-point week 1 outing versus the LA Chargers. So do like Marlon Mack. He's going to see the volume, and he's decently cheap, and it's a soft matchup at home. So do like Marlon Mack. And then the last guy I like is Wayne Gallman at 4,300, if I can find him. Or is he 43? I thought he was 4,300. Let me search his name. 4,600, my bad. So, do like Wayne Gallman. Is he good? No, but he's going to fill the void at running back forever how long Barkley will be out. This isn't a fun play, but he's going to get double-digit touches versus the Redskins defense, allowing over 100 yards rushing per game and over 20 fantasy points per game as well to the position. Plus, there should be more scoring opportunities with Daniel Jones at quarterback. He's going to be popular this week. He's only 4,600. He should see 15, 20 touches if you're lucky, if the Giants are winning. So he has to be in play. If you're going to get that kind of volume at only 4,600 versus the Redskins defense, you are automatically in play. I don't care who you are. And now let's head to the wide receiver position. And the number one guy, it's obvious, guys. It's Keenan Allen. He's my number one guy last week versus Houston. Got 46 points, and now he gets to face Miami. He has to be the lock of the century. I don't know how anyone's going to fade him this week. He's been an absolute machine, and he's coming off a 46-point outing versus Houston. Now he gets a matchup versus the Dolphins, which I don't know what their version of an NFL defense is, but whatever it is, it's terrible. I mean, it's awful. And they try to make it Fitzpatrick, so there's no one that can really stop Keenan Allen. I mean, Xavier Howard exists, but he really should avoid him for a decent part of this game. Yeah, he's going to eat. He leads the league in weighted opportunity share at 87%, market share at 46%. Well, he's actually tied with McLaurin and Adam Thielen. But he's also leading the league in air yards, target share at 36%, receiving yards, and receptions. So we are going to lock him in, no questions asked. He should smash. I don't care how big of a favorites they are. He's going to get his work in some way, somehow. So definitely like Keenan Allen. Next guy up is Cooper Kupp, 6,500. Big fan of the guy. Like I said, big Cooper Kupp fan, and it's nice to see him have a good start to the season. I love the Rams pass game in this offense, and Kupp is my favorite target for Goff this week, and pretty much every week. He leads the offense with a 30% target share and gets a great matchup in the slot versus MJ Stewart, who was awful last year and looks the part again. He's allowing 2.19 yards per route covered this season, which if you have no idea what that would mean, it's not good. It's below average. And Kupp will see heavy volume and a high floor matched with a high ceiling, as we saw last week. Plus, he's Goff's guy, and that goes beyond the numbers. When you got a good connection with the quarterback, that can just go. It goes farther than what the numbers will say. If Goff's in trouble, he's going to look to Kupp, or just in general, he's going to look at Kupp first. So, love Cooper Kupp. He had 20 points week 2 and 36 points last week versus Cleveland. I mean, he's going to get a heavy target share. 10 targets week 1, 9 targets week 2, 12 targets week 3. Love Cooper Kupp in this matchup. And then the next guy is Sterling Shepard. He is 5,800 going up against the Washington Redskins. And he had a great connection with Jones last week, calling in 7 of his 9 targets for 100 yards and a really nice touchdown grab near the sidelines in the end zone. With no Barkley, I'd expect this offense to run through Ingram and Shepard, and he also gets a nice matchup this week versus the Redskins, who are allowing 2.67 touchdowns per game to wide receivers and over 55 points to wide receiver position. So definitely like Sterling Shepard. Love pairing him up with Daniel Jones and GPPs, as well as Evan Ingram, but we'll get to him later. And the last guy is F1, Scary Terry, whatever you want to call him. I love him this week. Honestly, one of my top plays just in general. I love Terry McLaurin this week. And if he didn't play last night, he would most definitely be in the 5K range this week versus the Giants. The Giants are giving up the most yards per game to the wide receiver position, 262, and that's by a wide margin, I will say. And to add on to that, they are also giving up over 56 DraftKings points per game to receivers as well. And there's really no other real threats in this receiving game for the Redskins other than McLaurin, so he should eat. He also has PFF's biggest wide receiver cornerback matchup rating of the week. I love Terry McLaurin. He's going to be heavily owned, but it's for good reason. Definitely like him, and he's way too cheap. I mean, he has a huge target share of the offense. He's talented. He's fast. I don't see how they're going to cover him. So definitely like Terry McLaurin. And let's go to the tight end position. First guy I want to talk about, well, I will say I love Travis Kelce, but he's just so expensive, and I like a bunch of other expensive guys, so I just don't want to list every expensive player. So we'll go to the second most expensive tight end, Evan Ingram, 5,700. And like I said with Shepard, there's no Barkley, so there will be those two will be heavily involved in this offense. Not like Ingram already wasn't, but a boost is a boost, so you have to take that. He has balled out so far this season, showing us that upside he's capable of. He also has that big play upside that 90% of tight ends in this league do not have, as he took a short pass, 75 yards for a touchdown with his speed. Not a lot of guys can do that. Him, George Kittle, Travis Kelce can do it too. Really, outside of that, not a lot of guys can do what Evan Ingram can. So, love the athletic ability there. If he gets open space, he can do what he did last week. And I really have no concern going up against this Washington defense. There's not really anyone that scares me, and Evan Ingram gets the matchup advantage versus pretty much every safety linebacker he will be on. So definitely like Evan Ingram. Love pairing him up with Sterling Shepard and Daniel Jones. Then you can run it back with Scary Terry, and I think that's a good way to go in GPPs this week. Next tight end is Greg Olsen at 4,200 going up against the Houston Texans. He's been awesome so far this season. He scored 20 points week 2, 25 points last week versus the Arizona Cardinals. He didn't miss a beat without Cam Newton, and he will be without him again. Cam Allen will be the quarterback, but really no concerns there. He looked pretty good. And if you look at the numbers this season, Houston has been very tough on the tight end position, but look who they played. They played the Saints, Jacksonville, and the Chargers, and really those teams do not have any threatening tight ends whatsoever there. Last season, they struggled to guard the tight end position, and their pass D as a whole is pretty lackluster this season, so I think Greg Olsen should continue his good ways versus Houston this week. And the last guy is Will Dissly, and if you guys listen to the Fantasy Footballers podcast, they call him Big Montana, and then the Montana music, cowboy music starts playing in the background. I like the guy, Will Dissly. He's not bad, and he's going up against Arizona, who has no idea what they are doing when it comes to guarding the tight end position this season. Olsen had 25 points last week. Mark Andrews had 28 the week before that. And then week 1, TJ Hawkinson had 28 points, all versus Arizona. Yeah, they have no idea. I guess they don't know the tight end position exists or something. It's awful. And Dissly has been great the past 2 weeks, scoring 22 and 18 points with 3 touchdowns on 11 targets. So feel free to fire him up, as he seems to have a steady role in this offense and is in the nut matchup this week. So love Big Montana, only 3,600, and every single tight end has smashed versus Arizona. Dissly's had stretch of 2 pretty good games so far, so I don't see why that can't continue versus the Cardinals. The Seahawks should look to exploit this matchup. So definitely like Will Dissly. And then when it comes to defenses, obviously it's the Chargers and the Patriots. The Chargers are my number 1 going up against Miami. Patriots number 2. They have not allowed a touchdown on defense so far this season. That is insane. Buffalo, they're going to struggle against the Patriots. Jaguars versus Denver makes sense. If Ramsey doesn't play, that's obviously a downgrade, but still. Giants, I'm not going to pay $3,600 for the Giants defense ever. Outside of that, I guess I really wouldn't have a core defense I like. Maybe the Vikings versus Chicago. Don't love that, though. Outside of that, it's kind of ugly. I'd really try to get in the Chargers defense this week. I'm sure later in the week I'll dig into some cheaper defenses, but outside of that, it's pretty gross. So, yeah, there's not much down here. So I'm really trying to plan on getting the Chargers defense in, and it is doable. I did make a lineup yesterday, just a first look lineup, and I was able to fit the Chargers in, and I still got Keenan Allen in, Cooper Kupp, I forget the running backs. Marlon Mack was in there as well. So you can do it. It comes at the expense of, higher end receiver or running back, but it's doable if you really want to just lock up a safe defense. But yeah, I think that's all there is to talk about in this video. I hope it was enjoyable. I hope to help you out. If it did, remember to leave a like. And if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. It really helps me out. Really appreciate it. Would love to get up to 2K this weekend. Would be awesome. Links in the description below for my Patreon content. And I'll see you guys in the next video. I'm not sure what the next video will be, but I'll figure it out. I'll just look at the schedule last. It's probably chalk plays, I think. So I think chalk plays will be next. All right. I'll leave you guys with that, and I'll see you.